Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Obviously today I will be wildcarding, so it's very hard for me to answer as many questions as possible today, but I'll try my absolute best to do so. Um, Keep in mind, of course, another thing that we want to say is that ultimately there are two ways I think to go about this sort of Gameweek 26 wildcard. I think either you pursue very much so from the get-go free at 29 or you pursue free at 34. And the reason why you might pursue free at 34 is just assuming that the fixture landscape gets very tough to navigate depending on the outcomes on the FA Cup fixtures later down the line. You might not be able to sort of plan your Game Week 37 bench boost very well. And that's why I've taken a bit more of a cautious approach, and I think I'm leaning towards free at 34. Now, what I would say too is, oh, sorry, my face isn't showing. My bad, guys. My bad. That will get sorted. Let's just put my face in. Pull my green screen up. All right, my bad about that. I've been deep in the lab basically with wildcard solves, so I apologize if this might be less interactive of a stream today. And also that's why I've been late. I've just been stressing out about my wildcard, and we'll see obviously how it goes today. So that's the setup of the stream done. Sorry about that, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. So just starting from the chat. Garnacho, He-Chan. I would go He-Chan in the situation. You know, I think He-Chan just has a superior fixture compared to most people in FPL this week. So I would definitely go for him. I'm going to take my headphones off as well, so I'm a little bit more comfortable. Right, and then moving on, other questions. Some people asking Douglas Luiz versus Odegaard. Personally, you know, anytime you ask me a question about, let's say, a transfer this week, I think you need to have in your mind whether you're going for a free at 29 strategy or a free at 34 strategy. Obviously, if you're going for a free at 34 strategy, you can go Odegaard. If you want to go with Douglas Luiz, though, it would make more sense to go Douglas Luiz on a free at 34 strategy, whereas if you're going for a free at 29, you don't even need to ask the question about Douglas Luiz. You'd probably ignore him completely. So that's something I'd like to mention first of all. Tony or Solanke, I think once again depends on whether you're free at 29 or free at 34. Right now, of course, what I'm showing you guys is a free at 34 draft, right? So the idea is I'm hoping for some upsets, not too many upsets. I have two United players. I've got a Spurs player that I would always like to have, Son that I would always like to have, Pau that I think is safe. I don't really want to go for Martinez here as a goalkeeper because I think he's a little bit too expensive and I think just inflexible just generally, right? Tony here is a bit of a punt, but the punt is because we know that I think no matter what situation we have, I'm probably going to be booking a transfer of a forward. So the idea here is just simply going from Tony to, let's say, someone like Solanke in the future. So I quite like that because for me, Tony is a good 2 game week punt. His goal scoring odds this week are very high. So generally speaking, I think Tony makes a lot of sense. Now, I've also gone for Gabriel and Saliba here. I could obviously go for Odegaard, but the way I see it is that, let's say bench boost 37 requires United players. I think Garnacho would be the kind of key piece within the draft here that I would like to have ideally within my team to allow me to achieve that sort of possibility. Going back to chat though, captaining Saka or Haaland. I'm obviously on a Haaland captaincy right now, so if you see on the top right corner of my little graphic, we have gone for Haaland here. Some people asking Højlund to Watkins for a -4. I mean, obviously it's worth it because he's injured. That's just the reality. Why don't I consider Kelleher? I mean, the thing about Kelleher is you're booking a transfer later down the line. Like, Alisson's going to get fit eventually, so what's the point of going for Kelleher on a draft? Bowen or Bailey, I would still go with... I would actually go with Bailey, because I do think Bowen is quite a cost sink within the team, whereas Bailey, it feels like quite a flexible piece. I also like... I mean, Bailey versus Douglas Luiz, for me, I would say I'm pretty much okay with the two of them. I don't think there's any pick in particular that would make me lean towards one or the other in terms of Luiz and Bailey. So if you have, let's say, or you're minded to go for Bailey, then I think that's totally fine. Double up Villa defenders. I could do Pau and Moreno, but my issue is obviously Villa are involved in European games, and that's going to be an issue for me later down the line. What about Foden? Foden is more of a free hit 29 sort of pick. What are my plans to get Salah? So in this draft structure, I think loosely speaking, I would probably go for Salah on Game Week 30 and drop Haaland on Game Week 28. Why did I remove Odegaard for Garnacho and Dowdy for Saliba? So as I said, I like the idea of punting towards the off chance that United actually have more fixtures on 29, which would be quite nice for my team. But I also think that, structurally speaking, it's easier to get Saliba out of my team than, let's say, having both Bruno and Odegaard and needing to take one of them out. Am I free hitting? No, I'm not. I'm wildcarding. Do I have a draft if I've already used my free hit? I mean, if I already used my free hit, right, I would probably have a draft that looks very much like this, but I think it would need to have a few less punts. Maybe you'd have to go for someone like, trying to think who I would drop here. You might have to drop Fernandes here and actually go for someone like, I don't know, a Douglas Luiz if you, let's say, don't have a free hit for Gamey 29, because I think that would still give you 3 Villa players. I think that's the only change I'd make. Go for 3 Villa players. You still have two Spurs players here. I'd probably do that instead. I think that's the only change I'd make. So you probably have less chances to kind of punt on a United or a Wolves player this week. Douglas Luiz for a differential instead of Garnacho. I mean, both players are differentials now. No, I don't think Garnacho's ownership is particularly high. A lot of people are investing into Douglas Luiz as well. So something to think about as well. Ait Nuri. I love Ait Nuri, actually. Why not wildcard next week? I mean, I intentionally dead-ended on 25, so my team is very weak on giving 26. The minus 12 I have to take doesn't seem worth it for me, so I've taken the opportunity to wildcard early, and so I can punt towards certain teams and certain players as well. Bowen, I don't have that much of an interest, guys, in going for 11 players in Gameweek 29. Like if it happens and there are no upsets, for example, in the FA Cup, that's fine with me. I'll just move on with my life, and I'll probably still plan free at 34. So that's something I've decided already. How many players in your Game Week 29 without it? So you have to assume that basically Doughty will obviously come into the squad, right? So Doughty coming into the squad means that we obviously will have a player here. And on top of, let's say, Flecken, I mean, that's one of them. Udogie and Son, that's another two. Tony, that's another one. Watkins, that's another one. And we'll see, obviously, what happens with the FA Cup upsets. But beyond that, right now, I would have 3 transfers to go. One of them would have to be Solanke, so obviously not a confirmed Game Week 29 player, but actually 2 players later down the line could be, of course, a Spurs midfielder and also potentially either a Spurs defender as well, because maybe I could bin Senesi on 29. So it's quite flexible there in terms of how I go about triple Spurs. In terms of, let's say, the last pick, it could also be flexible to cup upsets. Like, let's say Trippier suddenly is available for us on Gaming 29. I'd probably go towards Trippier actually sooner than earlier. Why Udogie now being injured? Udogie, I think, is actually going to be ready to play on Gaming 27. Now, if I don't go for Udogie, I think what I could obviously do is just go for Ait Nuri, to answer your question. Who will you recommend I use to replace Palmer and bench? Excuse me. Who will I recommend you use to replace Palmer and bench for Gordon today? Bench for Gordon? I can't really see the question. Phil Within, thank you so much for the super chat. You're killing it this season. Already made up my mind to take a -4 to field 10. Jota Gusto out. Wang, Ait Nuri, Moreno in. Yeah, I like Ait Nuri in because I think this fixture is very, very good for Ait Nuri. And the only thing I'd say, obviously, is like Moreno could obviously play on Gaming 29, so he could be better for you, and that could be very helpful. My thoughts still, though, are that I wouldn't take Palmer out for Saka necessarily, because for me, the way I see it is like Palmer and Saka are kind of tied together because they, of course, have the fixture together in Gaming 29. So taking Palmer out for Saka feels a little bit stranger just because Palmer doesn't actually have bad fixtures outside of the blanks. He just only is a bad asset because of the blanks, right? So if you, let's say, have strategies to skip the blanks, I probably wouldn't take Palmer out of my team. Obviously, Saka this week is very good. I mean, yeah, you probably still want to go Saka, but I don't know if there's anyone else in your team. Like, a lot of people usually ask me the question with, let's say, Palmer and Richarlison on their team, but taking Palmer out for Saka feels odd. I would still probably do it, though, but it does feel weird to sort of lose the value on Palmer. Do I prefer Bruno or Odegaard? I think it's a question, the question about Bruno Odegaard is a question about actually how you want to go about triple up of Arsenal. Like, you could go Raya, you could go Saliba, you could go Odegaard. So I'd answer that question first and then go back to the Bruno answer. Hey, Fran, could you explain the Bruno pick, and would you take a -4 De Bruyne or Foden is confirmed benched for Bruno Odegaard? I would probably take a -4, yes, obviously, if De Bruyne or Foden are confirmed bench, because you also have to think about it as in, Man City do have a bad fixture in Game Week 28. Now, they do have a good fixture in Game Week 27, which is going to be United. So I'd probably actually go for Odegaard because short term, Bruno actually has like a bad fixture for Game Week 27. So for me, the way I see Bruno in my drafts is that he could actually just end up becoming a one game week punt. So that's one thing to think about. I would probably go for Odegaard in that situation. How am I getting Salah into the team with Haaland? I mean, I'm not necessarily going for a Salah plus Haaland draft. I mean, Watkins would have to be dropped eventually down the line, basically, for me to let's say go Salah and Haaland by game week 31 or something like that. This is not my locked in team. No, I mean, we'll have to decide over the next 1 hour and 15 minutes, basically. Anish, thank you so much for being a member for 3 months. Plan to take out Haaland in Game Week 28, gross in. I mean, my plan to take out Haaland in Game Week 28 is confirmed if I was to go for free at 34, but not confirmed if I was to go for free at 29. I don't think gross in makes too much sense unless you're planning free at 29. If you are planning free at 29, I think gross is perfectly fine as a transfer. Why He-Chan instead of Neto? I prefer goal scorers. I mean that's it. Nothing crazy about it. He's obviously a less creative player, but he could be on penalties, and obviously his chances of scoring are much higher. Is my decision final to go free at 34 instead of 29? It's not that final, honestly. I'm still trying to decide what exactly I want for my team. Best case scenario. Would I take out KDB for a hit? I probably would, if I'm honest, because KDB for a hit just means that you'd free up the cash and you'd be able to play around KDB. And now, obviously, given that there's Champions League games that City will definitely play later down the line, you know now that KDB will probably be rotated a little bit too. So I just think that being able to have the funds back to maybe go to Salah or Son from Game Week 27, it would make sense. Is it advisable to hold both Hwang and Neto? I think so. I think it's perfectly fine. Start Trippier, Estupinian. I would still start Estupinian because it seems like he's ready to start, and I've heard some Brighton leakers apparently say he'll start. Is Walker playing? I've got no idea. We'll find out. I think FPL Tony will hopefully give us some news. Bowen and Bell or Bailey and Doughty? I would go Bailey and Doughty personally. I would definitely go Bailey and Doughty. Do a cheap alternative to a wildcard draft. I mean, this is... Do you have 2.5 less in the bank than me? I mean, a cheap alternative to this, I would just go for Solanke. Just go for Solanke, forget about Tony, and that's it. Who is the best defender to bring in 4.5 million or under? I quite like Ait Nouri. I mean, Ait Nouri as a transfer this week seems fun. Who to replace Udogi with? Which team? I mean, you could just go Ait Nouri. I think that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I think Udogi will play in Game Week 27, which is why I kind of want Ait Nouri. Whereas Pau obviously has a good fixture here in Game Week 26, so I'm not that concerned about the lack of Ait Nouri on this week. Don't know if you answered as a Foden owner and the ability to field 10 players this week. Pinnock to Pau for -4. I think Pinnock to Pau makes sense, yeah. Would you sell Konsa? Excuse me, sorry. Would you sell Konsa to Ait Nouri or roll? I think Konsa's coming back soon, so I would probably roll. What do you think of Rashford pick? I think Rashford's actually a very interesting pick. So let's say in my draft, I mean Rashford and Bruno could be interchangeable, to be quite honest with you. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Do you guys want me to show you what would happen if I was on a solid draft right now? So this is my free hit 34 draft. If I was going for a Salah draft, I would go Solanke. Let's make this guy Salah. I think I'd go Ait Nouri here. And then I think I would go Udogi here as well. So this would be a potential draft, but I'm not sure. I'd probably have to go Raya too. I'd drop Saliba. Maybe go Dawson. And then I'd probably go Udogi if he's ready. One thing I need to check. No, I can't do that. So I need to... My situation here, I think, is that I have to go Doughty here. I'm trying to calculate if I have it. Okay, this is crazy. I know this sounds crazy to you guys, but basically, what I would do with this draft is I would go Fernandes, right? I'd go Fernandes this week. I would 1 week punt Fernandes, and I'd immediately transfer him out for Son, and then Son would come into the team, and it would look like this going forwards from Game Week 27 after that. So that's one variation of the draft that I've thought about. This is a free hit 29 draft, obviously. Visit Maldives. Interesting. Why Senesi over Nuri? Just for Game Week, excuse me, double Game Week 28. Why not Doughty for Udogi? Yeah, that's what I've done here. So this is a 3 at 34 draft. Sorry, 3 at 29 draft. As you can see, obviously a distinct lack of Aston Villa players, distinct lack of Brentford players, but suddenly I've replaced those players with, Wolves players instead. So you might argue that that doesn't make sense, but suddenly I actually have a pretty insane draft here where I still have Saka, still have Salah, still have Son, still have Haaland and Watkins. And that's what I would call a Thanos draft. That's something that I've been thinking about. Dimitri's case says Ederson or Areola. I have Solanke, so Ederson. What do you mean by you have Solanke, so Ederson? You want to hedge? I mean, Ederson's interesting because obviously on Game Week 37, he could actually be a double game weaker. So if you really like Ederson, for example, then Ederson could actually be a lovely pick there. Who would you bring in for KDB? Why Son? I mean, the fixtures are amazing. The fixtures are amazing. So let's say once you get Son back the next week, you'd have Palace. Obviously, Villa's a tough game, but then you'd still have, let's say, Luton here, West Ham here, and Nottingham Forest as well. So those are like decent fixtures. Even Aston Villa away is not too bad. Now, the reason I don't really like this draft is because probably like the value of Son is tied to, in my opinion, also playing Fulham away. Whereas if you lose that game, maybe he's not that good. So technically in this situation, let's say I go for a more expensive draft here and I go for Fernandes. Like I could just change Fernandes into Palmer the week after this. And Palmer's fixtures around Game Week 29 are interesting, right? So you ignore this fixture anyways. You got Brentford away, Newcastle at home, which is now basically what we conceive to be a very good game. Burnley at home, Man United at home, Sheffield United away. Like insane run of games. So that's like another way to sort of go about it as well. But I'm just going to reset my draft now and just rebuild my team. I am sort of planning towards, to ignore 29 basically as a free hit. So we'll see what we can do around it. So we'll go back to my previous draft, which obviously has the Saliba variant. So we've got Pau, we're replacing Reguilon. I had Udogi here, but I mean, I can put Aït-Nouri just because it's a decision. It's a decision I have to make, basically. Fernandes here. Sonny here. And then obviously Tony here. So yeah, as you can see, there's still like a lot of decisions I have to make in my mind right now. I'm sorry, I also missed it. The Flying Naga gifting 1 FPL Fran memberships to other people. Thank you so much, Flying Naga. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Hello, everyone. Let's go. I've actually got a question for you guys in the chat. If you were 1 game week punting with a United player, would you go Bruno or Rashford? I'm curious. Why Tony over... Let me read the question. Sorry. Why Tony over Solanke instead of... What would the transfers look like if you were to go for Solanke instead of Tony? I mean, it's not too different, right? Because if you went for Solanke, you'd still have to sort of plan to maybe sell Haaland to get Salah within your team. Virgil to Pau or Reguilon for -4. I would go for Pau. Reguilon just doesn't have a great game this week. Why Tony over Solanke? I'm pretty sure you want him back for double gaming 28. Yeah, of course. So the assumption here is that you'd make a transfer out for Tony or Haaland on 28. What happened with have a route back to Salah? Salah would be a game week 30 sort of move for whatever like whatever variation of transfers I make. I will go towards Salah in game week 30. Is it okay to go Odegaard instead of Bruno? I think it's totally fine to go Odegaard instead of Bruno. It clearly just means that you have some changes. Bruno has been very unlucky as well. Like his expected goal involvement has been very, very good. Martinelli for Odegaard as a differential. Your top 100 trying to punt on one different. Look, Odegaard right now is still extremely low owned. I think Odegaard is still a good differential. Ait, Nuri, and Odegaard for or Saliba. I still kind of think I would like. I mean, what is the alternative here? I don't really want to drop Pau. That's basically my issue. Maybe I don't know if Udogi is like fully 100% fit. So maybe that could be an error in my judgment. But from the way I'm reading Tottenham's sources, it does seem like it's very likely that he's going to be fit and ready to play. So that's kind of why I have Udogi in my drop. But I'll think about Udogi and Ait Nuri in a moment. Ait Nuri or Van Heck, and Rashford or Hechan. I like Ait Nuri over Van Heck. I just think the fixture's better. Rashford or Hechan. This is I would go with Hechan still. How would you handle continual bench headaches for this team? And one Ariel or Flecken? Ait Nuri, Udogi, or Reguilon. I mean, I've dealt with continuous bench headaches all season long, Luke. By the way, nice to see you around, Luke. I saw you on the FPL script episode, so really nice to see you. But yeah, I think the way you do it every week is like you just see who has good fixtures. For example, Ait Nuri has a bad fixture next week. He's not going to be a bench headache for me. He'll just be on the bench. Senesi, for example, has a bad fixture this week. He'll just be on the bench. Pau or Torres, obviously, that's going to feel bad that he's on the bench because it doesn't really make sense to go for Ait Nuri if I've got Pau because Pau kind of covers this week. So the way we also want to think about transfers too is to make sure that we can actually kind of optimize around certain players and certain teams. How would you handle continual? Sorry. And then the question about Odegaard, Foden, or Neto, I would go with Odegaard personally because Odegaard still has 3 good fixtures in a row. Foden could very well, I don't know, he could be dropped today. We also have a tough fixture with Liverpool, and with Neto, obviously, you still have a tough-ish Game Week 28 fixture. It's still good though, obviously. Congrats to 900. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being in the chat. I know I'm not being so interactive today. Unfortunately, today is a wild card day for me. So I have to take it extremely seriously. And as you can see, I've been spending the last week on it, and I'm still slightly undecided because obviously part of the WildCard 26 experience is trying to take some gambles and making sure that we like certain gambles. Protagonist, welcome to Captain as well. Welcome to member. So thank you. I've seen you around a lot, Protagonist. Hope you're doing well. Feel free to drop a question in the chat as well. The Luke Guy 7, how do you make... Once again, thank you so much for the super chat. How do you make your own choices and ignore noise? I don't think it's not necessarily that I only make my own choices, but it's also, first of all, we have some models right now that can actually project points that can do well. We also have gambling odds that can tell us, for example, expected clean sheets, expected goal scoring. We also have underlying stats that we can look at for players, right? I can see that, for example, a player like Garnacho has really good expected goal involvement per 90. Just if I go on a website like fbref.com, I can find how well Garnacho is doing in the Premier League compared to his peers. And then we can also look at, for example, amongst the league table, what are bad defenses in terms of expected goals conceded? What are good offenses in terms of expected goals? So these are the kind of decisions that I look into sort of navigating each week to sort of make my moves and also make my teams. Why taking Fernandes rather than Odegaard? So I've just gone for Saliba in this situation here. Why not Reguilon over a double Arsenal? I just think that Brentford are so much worse of a defense that I really don't mind if Arsenal have a one less fixture. That's effectively how I would answer that question. Hanny says, is it good idea to double up on Wolves Neto / Heechan in case we get news Foden / KDB due to rest? I probably would. I would try to keep it a bit more flexible. I would probably go with Garnacho over Pedro Neto. The reason being because actually United have a still higher chance of playing Game Week 29 than let's say Wolves. So I like the idea that you spread your, for example, your risk, if that makes sense. How many players should I have not too free at 29? Personally, I think if you can get to Game Week 29 with let's say 7 to 8 players, maybe I would say 8 players, 8 players at the bare minimum. If you have 8 players, then I think that's fine. As long as they're good 8 players as well. So it's not just about, have 6, have 7, have 8, have 9. Who do you have as good players, basically? Yeah. Give me a sec, guys. Sorry. All right, so just gonna quickly have a look and see if there's any leaks as well from Man City, because it's been a while now, and I haven't really seen any crazy leaks, and we'll just need to understand the situation a bit better. Apparently, Charlie Taylor is ready to start. That's what I've heard. Tony is doing some WWE stuff with Triple H. It seems like interesting. KDB apparently is benched per Andy's stream. Any other leaks that we have? Someone apparently said that Bernardo Silva's not on the squad. Apparently, Haaland and Ake start. Okay. No, I'm not sure actually. Forget about it. I think the only news that we have right now is KDB is benched. Apparently, that's the only news I have. Last night we got some news about Esteban starting, but that's about it. Luke guys says, "Oh, sorry. Don't think I've missed any super chats lately, but let me quickly have a look just in case." All right, quickly going back to the live chat here. So people actually prefer the Bruno 1 Game Week punt, so I'll probably be doing that. KDB benched is apparently the news that we got from Andy's stream. How risky is it to captain Hee-Chan? I think, look, a captaincy over Hee-Chan, Saka, and Haaland's perfectly fine. Let's do another poll, actually, in terms of captaincy. I want to see where people are actually moving towards captaincy. So I think Haaland is obviously one viable option, Saka's another one, and then obviously Hwang. Captain Saka, Neto, or Foden. I would not go for a Foden captaincy personally. I would rather go with Saka in your situation there. Walker, Ake, Dalot by 1. I'd actually probably go with Dalot, to be honest, because we actually know that he'd start. Protagonist says he's got the same team as me, but he has Trippier, Saliba, and Douglas Luiz. Would you keep them or go Saliba, Gabriel? Trippier, Doughty, and Solanke, Tony. If I keep Luiz, I could go Tony this week. I mean, the reason why I don't have Trippier is because I actually think that Newcastle will be Blackburn, so I'm not that concerned about, let's say, the need to own Trippier, right? For example, Trippier has a bad fixture this week, so it feels like already pretty bad that I'm spending that much money towards a Trippier who probably won't play Game Week 29 and probably doesn't have a good fixture in Game Week 26, if we're being honest. So, good replacement for Fernandes if you can't afford him. I would just go Garnacho, and if you, let's say, can't afford Fernandes, sorry, I'd probably go Douglas Luiz. I'd go Douglas Luiz or Bailey. How about Kudus? I probably wouldn't go for him. I just don't really like the West Ham team very much. I still think that they're quite a weak team, particularly on attack. So it is what it is. This is not my necessarily locked in wild card. Still need to make a couple decisions. All right, I'm gonna have to lock in my wild card. So it's time to make some tough decisions. Okay. Still want to go Bruno. Still like Saliba. But do I need Ait Nuri is the question. Because if I play this team next week, I don't think I actually need Ait Nuri. And it's kind of sad that I don't get to punt more on Wolves for Sheffield United at home. But this might be the world that we're living in. Because I could just easily play Pal this week and forget about it all. Yeah, I think I've got to do that. I'm going to have to say goodbye to my friend Ait Nuri. We'll go for... I mean, we could go Doughty for now. I don't think it's going to change much. But I kind of like Udogie, though, actually. Because if I go for Udogie, I can kind of punt that he starts game week 27. Right. And then I can go just for another triple Spurs quite early on for Bruno. So that can be an easy transfer. And then I can just pick Doughty up on game week 28 if I really need to pick Doughty up on game week 28. And on game week 28 as well, we'll probably also make the other transfer for Solanke. That way, of course, we have... yeah, I mean... I can't really lock in 2 game week 28 moves, though. So starting with Udogie makes sense. I don't transfer in... No, I guess I have to start Doughty in this situation. Probably. I start Udogie and I go Tony. I guess I can't transfer out Fernandes necessarily, but that could just mean that I go for Porro later down the line and I just bench Fernandes next week or bench Garnacho, which is not awful. But then having to play Fernandes versus Man City isn't lovely. Need to reconsider that one slightly. Could be... What if I go... The Footy Fouls, welcome to President. Hope you're doing well. Is Garnacho not injured? He's not injured at all. It's Højlund who's injured. Højlund is injured. You prefer Odegaard? Yeah, I could go Odegaard. That's a good point. Hey, Fran, wildcard looks great. Is worth taking -8 for Kabore to what defender? Only got 10 playing. I think you can go for a Wolves defender this week if you're actually if you guys are looking for hits for a defender, I would definitely go for a Wolves defender. I think that makes a lot of sense. Isn't Udogie injured? Yes, but I think he's back for game week 27. Keep in mind, of course, he'll have an extra week of rest, effectively. Why don't you think of Gross or Adingra? I mean, the chances that Brighton play Man City in game week 29 are basically closest to impossible. In terms of like blank fixtures that could actually turn into real fixtures. What are my plans for future transfers? Solanke is a transfer in game week 28. Potentially... To be honest, I might just be better off going... Do I just skip Tony as a one-game gamble? Yeah, I might just skip Tony. Maybe we'll just go Solanke. If I go Solanke, I've got a lot more money in the bank. But then the question is, what do I do with that money in the bank? These are... I guess I could go... I don't know. I think Tony just still has better fixtures than Solanke. But is it that much better? Maybe it really isn't. Let me just try a sort of thought experiment. Because I do like Garnacho in within my team, but then I'm also trying to think if I have more money in the bank, like why do I go Garnacho in the first place? Like surely I should just be going Odegaard. Go Tony, then transfer Solanke next week. Oh, that feels like such an awful move, doesn't it? Okay, let's just like open these spots up because that's undefined. This is undefined as well. This is maybe undefined. I think I'm pretty locked in for every other position in this team now. I still think Garnacho is like a ridiculous like budget gamble. And like if I was going to punt towards United, he would be the player that I like. 1K watching, and thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Like you guys just watch me stress out on a wild card, but yeah, this is life. Oh, sorry, Anish, I actually missed your super chat. So why this draft? What's your transfer plans until Gaming 29? So the draft that I'm actually looking at previously, right, was the one where I had Tony. The reason why Tony's interesting, so obviously you don't really need Solanke for more than 1 week, right? Like you just need, you don't really need Tony or Haaland rather for more than 2 weeks. Excuse me, sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting. It's just so that the stream lighting doesn't look awful, which it does right now. Apologies about that. But yeah, going back to the Tony variation of the draft is interesting because if you think about it, if I go to Salah on this draft structure here and I plan on, let's say, going for Haaland later down the line, so like maybe waiting after Gameweek 34 to bring him in for the bench boost on 37, what I could do obviously is just simply go Haaland to Solanke on Gameweek 28 by going for Tony first, and therefore I can skip the Solanke versus Man City game, and that could be a little bit better. So that's one thing to sort of think about. If I go for Garnacho, I'm just trying to think, is there a Garnacho draft situation where I can actually put in Ait Nouri in my team and punt on Wolves versus Sheffield United at home? Because I really want to go to Wolves as well. But the issue with going with more Wolves players is that you also know by going for Bournemouth players is that you're basically you're very invested in that Gameweek 29 blank between Wolves and Bournemouth. So maybe I don't need to be that invested into Wolves players in the first place. Like that's an argument as well. I could go. I just don't want to drop Pau Torres as well. I think he's too safe of a pick to ignore, if that makes sense. So that's the tough thing. And thank you as well for upgrading to the president here, Nish. Appreciate that. Why no Aston Villa players in the midfield? For me, it's between Douglas Luiz and someone like, a Bailey. But I think one thing we need to think about too is that upsets can happen, guys. Blank Gaming 29 is not confirmed. We don't only have 3 fixtures. There is a chance that you have Arsenal versus Chelsea. There is a chance that you will have, for example, Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. There's a chance that you will have Liverpool versus Everton, for example. So like these fixtures can still happen. Upsets could happen in the FA Cup. When you watch the FA Cup, like even last season, when we saw Spurs lose, when we saw was it Southampton that lost as well, or no, Leicester lost, right? When these teams lost, they were the overdog. They were the teams that were expected to win. However, they lost, and they created very interesting fixture scenarios for us to sort of manage it from an FPL sort of point of view. And it makes sense to also invest into some players. Gross is injured. Who said Gross is injured? All right, let me read into this. What is going on here? I can't see this Gross is injured news. Charlie Taylor is starting. I can't see any Gross is injured news, guys. Where are you seeing that Gross is injured? Yeah, I can't see that. Why you guys give me fake leaks? Don't study it. When am I locking my wild card? Over the next 40 minutes. It was a troll. Fair enough. Okay. What are your plans for future transfers? It really just depends on what my draft is locked into, right? So we'll see. Not wanting Dallo Maguire. Honestly, I still don't love the United defense, and I think their fixtures are still kind of mediocre from a defensive point of view. So I'm stressed. I am stressed. I'm absolutely stressed, guys. I've been thinking about the wild card for an insane amount of days, and I'm still somehow stuck like on where to go, and where to land. But that's also just classic FPL, isn't it? Maybe there's a safe world where I go just Pau, Senesi, and Doughty and call it a day as well. That could be a thing. That could certainly be a thing. Yeah, maybe I don't take the Udogi injury risk and I just go for Doughty on the draft. That could work. And then I just play Pau this week, basically, which is not too bad, right? We'll just go back for Saliba. And then we'll go for Mr. Bruno Fernandes here. Fernandes. Do I still go Solanke is the question. Protagonist says, I have Saliba. Do I go Gabriel and Saka Odegaard? I actually really like Gabriel Saka Odegaard, but I think it also comes down to, Saliba is so useful if you think about it. Like, there are not many defenders who actually have good fixtures 26, 27, 28. Like, most of the defenders have awful fixtures in between. For example, like Newcastle away for Wolves, like they're definitely going to concede a goal on Game Week 28. If I was to talk about United defenders, like they're definitely conceding on Game Week 28. 27, sorry, 27. So Game Week 28 is a little bit nicer for Wolves. So obviously, if you got Aït-Nouri, you have a good 26, a good 28. On the other hand, Udogi, for example, has a bad, he's got a bad 28, but he's got a good 27. So like there are, for example, like opposite relationships between some defenders right now. Whereas obviously, if you look for an Arsenal defender, suddenly you just realize that by holding Gabriel and Saliba for the next 3 weeks, like you have an elite defense, like 2/3 of your defense is already sorted. Senesi, for example, can come in for me and play in Game Week 27. Doughty will just play for me in Game Week 28. Pau for me will just play in Game Week 26. So if let's say Senesi can't play, then suddenly Pau will play versus Luton in Game Week 27, which is not too bad for me, right? That's a possibility. So I think when we think about it that way, it's actually pretty close. Salah for Son. I think we need to see obviously how Salah has, how he manages his situation. Tony is the best 2 game weeks over Solanke. I agree with that as well. Protagonist says I could either go Saliba Saka Odegaard, Gabriel Saliba Saka, or Gabriel Saka Odegaard. Okay, if you ask me the 3 best that I like, I do kind of like Gabriel Saka Odegaard the most. Why not Douglas Luiz? I don't care about him enough. Like, I want to take some punts. I think that there's going to be some upsets, and that's it. Thoughts on Gross? I just think that he has no chance of basically having an upset. Like, to not have... Oh, Ruben Dias starts. Ruben Dias starts. Ruben Dias starts. KDB benched as well. KDB benched has been confirmed by another leaker. Have I got a plan for Saka? So, Game Week 30. Flecken is just a Game Week 29 goalkeeper, and also Martinez is a bit too expensive. That's why we've gone for Flecken here. I'll just write Diaz starts. Why Flecken and Neto? Because Neto is going to be a double Game Week 28 goalkeeper. What about Trossard? I don't really want to take punts on my team with players that could easily lose their spot within the squad. Is Alex Moreno greater than Pau? I mean, yes. If you could tell me right now, and you could bet, like if I could bet on if I knew that suddenly Moreno and Pau were both going to play Game Weeks 26 and 29, I would immediately be on Moreno. You don't understand Fernandes over Odegaard, but the thing is, it's about Saliba versus another defender as well. It's not just Fernandes over Odegaard. What about Dengra? As I said, with Brighton, the issue is if you're planning for free at 34, you need some punts in terms of people who can actually give you 29. FPL, Fran is the only FPL feed you need. Appreciate that, man. We're on 1,170 concurrent viewers. That is insane. That is an absolute record for me. Thank you guys so much for being here as well. Really appreciate it. Why Flecken and not a cheaper option? You mean Flecken? You mean Areola? Well, Areola just plays for an awful defense, which kind of makes me vomit a little bit. Like watching West Ham recently to hope that they get a clean sheet is giving me a bit of pain. I know it's hard to take Trossard out of the squad, but the reality is he can still go out of the squad, right? Aït-Nouri or Saliba, I'd probably go I mean, the thing about Aït-Nouri versus Saliba is that you also have to think about what are you going to do when Aït-Nouri has worse fixtures? Like, are you comfortable with playing Aït-Nouri 27, 28? Those are my questions back to you. Garnacho captain. Yeah, that's not happening, my friend. Don't I feel Odegaard will be I don't think Odegaard's a trap, but he's also overperformed recently, let's be honest. Like, Bruno probably has been the most unlucky player in football in FPL this season. So we'll see. Non, welcome to manager as well. Welcome to member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Hey, Fran, any leaks? Well, what we saw recently was that Diaz starts, KDB's benched, Charlie Taylor starts. Do you think Ake will start? Honestly, I can't confirm that. But I think since he was benched last game, I think it's pretty likely. Garnacho, Neto, I'd probably go Garnacho just because United have a slightly higher chance of playing Gameweek 29. I'm not going for Odegaard, no. Garnacho, Neto, would prefer if you don't spam in the chat. I'm sorry about that. How will you get Salah when he's back? I mean, we don't need to go Salah back immediately. Or think about it. Salah comes back and he plays Nottingham Forest. Yes, of course, that's a very, very good fixture. You want Salah for that. But then Game Week 28 is versus City. Then Game Week 29 is a blank. So obviously, if I'm planning to play through Game Week 29 and I'm not planning to use a free hit, then it doesn't make sense at all to go for Salah. Does that make sense? So then we only really need Salah in Game Week 30, at which point, obviously, I would just take Haaland out of my team in Game Week 28, and then I would take, or Game Week 29 rather, and then I would go Salah onwards. You've got about 6 mil less than me. First of all, if you have 6 million less than me, I would strongly consider going Douglas Luiz. I would consider not having... so replace Fernandes with Douglas Luiz. Probably still go Son. Can you save money? 6 million less than me? I mean, I'm hoping you can go Solanke here. I mean, let me just try and calculate this, right? If I go Douglas Luiz. Yeah, I think you can just do this, my friend. You can just do Douglas Luiz. You can have Pau. You've got triple Villa here. You've got 1 Spurs. You can continue to build on Spurs players. Hopefully, you have a little bit money in the bank so that you can actually go for, let's say, a Spurs defender. So let's say if we find out that Udoggy's fit and he's ready to play, then obviously we can think about going for Udoggy as well. That could be quite helpful. I would hope. And that's it. That's what I would say. Hi, Odegaard or Douglas Luiz? I would still punt with Odegaard. I think over the next 3 weeks, he's still a lot better, in my opinion. How much money do you have left in the bank with this team? I think you're... Oh, right. I'm not sure if you can actually see the amount of money I have in the bank. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking for leaks just in case. I don't think we have any other leaks so far. First of all, thank you. Welcome to member Lurendran Naidu. Thank you. Appreciate that. Huang captain, is it good enough? I think it is good enough. I think Saka, Huang, and Haaland are all good enough. But obviously, as you can see in the chat, a lot of people are favoring Haaland, and I think that's perfectly fine. The reality is it's Haaland. Best of luck this week, bro. Thank you, Chewy FPL. Hope you're doing well. How about Welbeck? Okay, is that... I hope that's trolling slightly. No Foden. Fran, is the Thanos draft happening? I don't think so, my friend. I think I'm still going for 3 at 34. Bruno stinks. You might be right, but he would still be a 1 week punt. So I'm going to allow him to sync my team up for 1 game week. What would be my lineup? We can see in a moment. Douglas Luiz or Gross? I would definitely go Douglas Luiz. Is Odegaard a better Arsenal compared to Gabriel at the minute? No, I think I would go for Gabriel 100% over Odegaard. Why Flecken? Just a Game Week 29 goalkeeper. And cheaper than Martinez, and better than Ariel, in my opinion, still. So Gabriel and Saliba over having Odegaard? Yep, that's the sort of decision I've made for. Why no Tony? surely Aït-Nouri and Odegaard are better options, which was your second draft in the week. You need to, I mean, from an attacking point of view this week, I don't actually think necessarily that's the case. Because I still think Bruno actually has a better fixture than Odegaard this week. And then the question, I guess, is also, is Saliba better than Aït-Nouri over the next 2 weeks as well? So that's a question to think about. Fahad, thank you as well. Welcome to member. Hope you're doing well. If you guys are members, obviously feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'll try to react to them, with priority. When am I planning to get Salah? Game week 30, that's the plan. Obviously, why Doughty? Who else could I get? I mean, if you don't care about Doughty, then I think you can obviously just clearly go for someone like Udogie, potentially. You have Lascelles to replace Lurendrin. This is, by the way, you have Lascelles to replace in order to get a full starting XI. Honestly, I would just go for a Wolves defender because there are not many defenders this week that are worth it for a hit, in my opinion. And obviously, I don't expect Lascelles to start. So assuming he gets 0 points, I would actually just recommend you go for a Wolves player, someone like Aït-Nouri, for example. Forson, the Man United player, I don't think that's happening. Phil, you're leaning more Moreno than Aït-Nouri. I completely understand that. I think that makes sense. Ironi, Foden or Richarlison out to bring in Hwang. I mean, first of all, what I'd say is wait for the next 47 minutes and see if we get some Foden news from FPL Tony. If Foden's out, then I'd probably just take him out. Because obviously, if you keep Richarlison within your team, then actually it's not too bad, right? You will have a Game Week 29 player. Obviously, if Foden starts, then clearly... I mean, if Foden starts, actually, do you even need to bring Hwang into your team? Otherwise, obviously, just take Richarlison out if you can field 11 or something like that. My captain is going to be Haaland, guys, for now. Solanke worth a hit to replace Darwin? I think it's not worth a hit, in my opinion. Why no Tony Reguilon? I don't like Reguilon that much. I just think he's not that valuable. I haven't given Watkins' captaincy a decision. Douglas Luiz over Gross is just because he's going to be playing Game Week 29 versus Gross, who has a very slim chance. Who do I move Bruno to? Well, I'm not moving Bruno anywhere right now, so we'll see. We'll still see. So many decisions to make. So many decisions to make. I guess I could just replace... Neto... Because what I'm trying to think about right now is... Let's say I don't go Udogie. It still saves me the chance to go Pedro Porro in Game Week 29, which I quite like. My transfers would be something like Garnacho to like either Fernandes or Garnacho to Richarlison, or I'd do another move. But actually, I'm going with 2 United. It kind of feels like I have to force a transfer back out. So I don't really want 2 United versus City. Maybe I just don't go Garnacho, I think. Maybe I just don't go Garnacho, actually. Because if I can just go for 1 United player, then I think that could be okay, too. For Nacho. Who do I move Bruno to next week? Probably Richarlison or Madison. Just go Odegaard. You don't like Garnacho either? Mate, Fernando's... If I could have Fernando as 1 player, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Did I miss your super chat? I'm sorry about that, Dimitri. Let's have a look. Any leak? De Bruyne's benched. So De Bruyne's benched. I would probably start Trippier, actually. Yeah, De Bruyne's benched. That was the leak. Poor Nacho. All right, poor Nacho's here. Who instead of Garnacho? Gordon over Garnacho? Gordon. I mean, do you guys really think Newcastle will lose to Blackburn? Serious question. Newcastle versus Blackburn. Blackburn, guys. I don't believe it, personally. Ben, by the way, thank you so much for joining the channel as a member. Appreciate you being around. And obviously, if any of the members want access to the Discord chat, in terms of the private chat, just feel free to drop me a message in the community panel in the membership section. or in one of the sort of private videos as well as a member. I can easily just respond to that. Or if you want to get one-on-one contact with me, same thing there. Getting Odegaard back to my team will save my week. All right, we'll think about it. We'll think about it. We're a lot of plans are in motion. We've got 33 minutes to sort out my wild card. Okay. I'm so stressed. Why am I so stressed? Okay, actually, I have an idea. I have an idea. So let's say I don't want poor Nacho. No, I'm kidding. What if I punted on Fernandes and Rashford? How would that sound? Because I think I could do it. I think I could do it. Oh my god, I could actually do it. This is awful. Marcus Rashford up top. Can you give me something? Just get Bowen. I've got no interest in Bowen, sadly. Leaks, Ake starts. I'm going to double check on leaks. Bruno and Rashford ruined my season, so why not bring them back in to ruin my season again? Power Cash. I would go with Pow. I think Consta's coming back soon, so I would go with Pow. What is my name in FPL? It's just FPL Fran on YouTube. Garnacho's guaranteed minutes. Yeah, but okay, if Rashford doesn't guarantee minutes when Højlund is injured, then we are finished. We are truly finished. I think Dawson is safer. Aït-Nouri for high upside. If I go with this team, am I playing Solanke then? Also, can I send you? Yeah, I can absolutely send you the Discord link. The Discord link should be on the description, and once you're added, you can just kind of ping me on the Discord and just tell me that you're the protagonist. So that's something you could do. I'm trying to think what would be my Bruno Rashford draft situation. Maybe I could just go... What if I go Aït-Nouri, Saliba, Udogie, Senesi? Why would I go double Arsenal? Why would I go double Arsenal? Ignoring Pau seems like quite a lot of downside. I guess the draft would just be like this. I can just go the thing is, next week I have to make a midfielder move, right? I can still go for Maddison. But the problem is keeping Fernandes for a while seems a little bit depressing, to be honest, for my own mental health. So Mpas87, welcome to Manager as well. Thank you so much for joining as a member. Tony will feast against West Ham. Ooh, interesting. How do I search your team up? I should be ranked 374 in the world, so I guess like if you scroll a few pages, I should be there. I'm just overcomplicating things now. Well, no, because I think you need to think about it like this, right? If you're going for 3 or 34, structurally, you're always going to have one player who's a game week punt, right? So let's say when I had my Odegaard draft, even with Garnacho, I could have moved Garnacho to Richarlison. So why not replicate the same thing in a similar situation? No Rashford in FPL. Should I buy Garnacho? I think Garnacho is a very good sort of pairing. But yeah, is this crazy? Maybe we just go back for Tony. Ivan the Terrible. We'll think about it. We'll simmer on this one. For the 1 week punt, why Bruno? Are Foden / Neto not better options? Well, first of all, I think Foden is not. I think Neto could be. That's a good argument to make. Bruno, at the end of the day, is still a penalty taker, though. Ivan is incredible. He probably could cook. He probably could cook most weeks, to be honest. Should I replace KDB for Son with a -4? I think, it doesn't make sense. Son is not going to play football today. So don't make a KDB transfer for Son. Don't do that. Bruno going to bank today. No free at 29. So Kudus or Bowen or... no free at 29. What do you mean by no free at 29? So, like, I don't think you necessarily need to go. I would go Douglas, though. I would go Douglas. Keep Ivan Toney. Oh, it's an interesting chat today. It's an interesting chat today. You don't want to play Solanke against City. I agree. Neither do I, which is why I probably want to go back to Fernacho. My best friend's Fernacho. Let's go back to Fernacho for now and go back on Tony time. Huang. And then what are we doing here? Back to my best friend Sonny. I don't want Reguilon. I don't want Martinez. Let's go back to Neto. We want Senesi for 28. And then we're kind of undecided on that last spot, aren't we? If I go Tony, do we just punt on Wolves, potentially? It's not a bad idea, actually, to kind of just punt on Wolves. Because, like, with Wolves, you'd still say versus Newcastle that's still so much more of a better fixture. Whereas, obviously, with Fernandes, I'm kind of locked into dealing with the City mess, which is a fair point that you could make. I still think I would go with Pau over Dawson. Like, Pau over Aït-Nouri. Like, that's sort of the spot that's in my team that's kind of like a question mark for me. I think I'd still go with Pau. But could I bring in Odegaard? That's the question. Could I bring in Odegaard? Could I bring in Odegaard? If we punt on Aït-Nouri, maybe this is it. Milinko says full 11, no free transfers. Sell Alvarez / KDB / McCarthy for a hit. I don't mind selling KDB for a hit. I think if KDB is benched, it's very likely that Alvarez will play. So you obviously probably want to have Alvarez within your team. So that's probably what I would say. McCarthy, I mean, you don't necessarily need to sell him for a hit. I'd probably sell KDB because if you sell KDB for a hit, you suddenly free up your cash in your team. If you suddenly change McCarthy with another player, you're probably not going to get a lot of upside from that. Whereas if you sell KDB next week, you'll probably be a bit more flexible in terms of your moves. In terms of team leaks today, Ake is back in the starting 11. Ake starts, so I'm going to put that in the chat. Jesus in squad, not confirmed to start. Andy apparently said he's confident that KDB is benched. Apparently. That's what I've heard. Gabriel, man, I kind of like this draft right now. Aït-Nouri as a punt. Bruno as a punt. I think let's lock this baby in. I kind of like this draft. Any Estupiñán news? I think someone from who actually knows some inside information on Brighton said that Estupiñán starts, but I can't confirm that it's true. We want Fernacho back? I don't know, though. I kind of like Odegaard plus Bruno. Why free at 34 and 29? Ooh, I feel like this is such a spicy draft. This is pretty spicy. Could we go spicier? Could we go spicier? What if I replace Doughty with... Excuse me, guys. What if I replace Doughty with Udogie? That would give us an extra player who could be really good for next week, right? I kind of like that, to be honest. Because if I go Udogie now, then my Gameweek 27 team could look absolutely lit. Because what would be the worst case scenario, right? What would be the worst case scenario? We just play Pau next week, we play Gabriel next week, and we just play Senesi versus Burnley. And I think that's fine, if Udogie is not fine. I just think it could be an interesting punt. 0.1 in the bank. That's not good territory to be in, but it could work out. It could work out. But then you're locking in another Gameweek 28 transfer. Yeah, but a Game Week 28 transfer is worth it when it's a double Game Week transfer. Why not Poro? I can't afford it right now. Solanke should be in. I mean, it's fine. I think I'm going to lock in a Solanke transfer. Doughty double. I know Doughty doubles, but the thing is, if I can guarantee that Udogi plays, I still think that I have. Think about this. I will have one Doughty transfer, right? One Solanke transfer, and then one other transfer for a Spurs player. So that would give me triple Spurs. That would give me double Villa. That would give me Tony. I'd have Flecken in goal keeps, and if there are upsets, then that could make our team a bit stronger for Game Week 29. So the way I see it, I'm gonna lock this in. I think I'm locked in. All right, prayers up that our main man Udogi is actually allowed to play football next week, and then I think we roll here. Estupiñán starts, Lamptey starts. Estupiñán starts, Lamptey starts. That's the news we got. If no leak on Foden, I hopefully we'll get a leak on Foden. No Luton players. I don't really care about Luton players. I'm sorry to say that. You can roll regardless next game week? Exactly, I could roll regardless. That's the point. Tony out. No, I don't think I'd go Tony out. I don't think I'd go Tony out. Not necessarily, no. Yep. I think I'm going to lock it in like this, guys. I think I'm going to lock it in like this. Okay. Am I happy with this draft? I've got to say, I think I'm happy with this draft. I think I'm happy with it. I'm pretty close to locking in now. Sorry, I'm gonna answer the super chats right now. Sorry, obviously, because I was just in my mind. First of all, the Flying Naga said Gordon to Odegaard or Trippier to Ait-Nouri and roll. Personally, what I would do is Gordon to tough question, actually. I'd probably go Gordon to Odegaard because with Ait-Nouri, it kind of feels like a 1 week punt, right? Whereas if you go for, let's say, like, imagine this. Trippier has a good chance, has a good game week next week. I probably would want to keep him for that. Whereas with Gordon, like, I probably would still prefer Odegaard over the next 3 fixtures in general. Foden starts. Confirmed. So I would definitely do the Gordon to Odegaard move. So that says I have Solanke, yet you would sell Tony. No, do not sell Solanke for a hit. Keep Solanke in your team. It's just that I'm wildcarding, so I have the chance to actually go for this. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Same team, but Douglas Luiz instead of Bruno. Can't afford. I think that's totally fine, protagonist. I think that's totally fine. Who to buy KDB for a -4 that plays in Game 29? Personally, the reason why people are going, I want to answer your question in a different way first. Like, the reason why people are going for Hwang, because I think is that there's so much upside in the short term that maybe it doesn't matter if Hwang doesn't play in Game 29. But if you absolutely want a player who plays in Game 29, who also has an okay fixture this week, then my only answer could possibly be Douglas Luiz or Bailey. And I think Douglas Luiz still feels a bit safer. So that's my answer to your question. I hope that helps. But Foden starts, though. That's huge. Foden starts for anyone who's interested. Bowen, no. I mean, Bowen is another player too, but the thing is, Bowen's fixture this week isn't even particularly good, in my opinion. I'm struggling to rate Bowen, honestly, as a pick, because I think he's expensive, first of all. Whereas when you go for Douglas Luiz, you can actually go for cheaper. Like, he is a cheaper alternative, right, to going for someone like Bowen. Can I get Hwang and Neto? I think that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with going Hwang and Neto. How will I go to Salah in Game Week 30? I just transfer out Holland to Solanke in Game Week 29, and then I go Salah in Game Week 30. Why Udogi over Doughty? Just because Game Week 27. Game Week 27. Show us my starting 11. When I'm locked in, I'll show you my starting 11. I can't decide right. I mean, I can't show it right now because I'm still in the process of making transfers, and I have there are some players that I'm still sort of deciding between mentally right now, obviously. Cheap alternatives, Douglas Luiz. Other cheap alternatives. I mean, I don't think there's more cheap alternatives other than Douglas Luiz. But I'm also going to have to stop you from spamming chat. I'm sorry about that, Cameron. Selling Haaland, man, look at your rank. Um, what's wrong with selling Haaland? Can I tell you something? So when I wildcard in Gameweek 8, I'm pretty sure I lost out on rank to every single Salah only player between Gameweeks 8 and Gameweeks 20, like literally 22. So I'm pretty sure I lost rank, but I still managed to gain rank recently. I don't think you need, you don't need specific players to gain rank, to my opinion. Put, yeah. And also, I'm just gonna have to stop you from spamming in chat as well. I apologize, but that is that. The alternative 1 week punt that I have is, let's say I'm not super comfortable about Ait Nouri. I could go Pedro Neto, I guess. I could go Pedro Neto. I think that could work. I might do that actually. If I go Neto and I just replace this guy with this guy, Saliba, is that better? Make this guy Dowdy again. What would be my Gaming 20? My Gaming 2017 would still be quite good. Yeah, I think this might be my best team. Because if I go Neto now, I can go Madison, I can go Richarlison, and I can go Solanke over the next 3 weeks. That's my 3 transfers done. And then on Game Week 30, I go Salah. Not bad, I think. This is not too bad. I think I'm locked in. I have 2 million in the bank, so suddenly if there's some crazy scenario that comes up and I want to manage it on Game Week 27, I can do that too. So I think I'm locked in. I think I'm locked in, guys. Martinez for Neto, yep. Walker for Senesi. Reguilon for Doughty, yes. Foden for Fernandes, yes. Garnacho for Son, yes. Solanke for Tony, yes. Okay, we're locked in. We're locked in. Captain this week, Haaland. Saliba plays over Senesi. Flecken. Yep, I think I'm locked in. Whew. Okay. This is my draft then. And then do I play Flecken or Neto? Flecken or Neto? I think I play Flecken. I am praying Tony absolutely cooks this week. Otherwise, I'm in trouble versus the Solanke owners. Who's my captain, though? Oh, captain, my captain. Let's decide on captaincy now. 15 minutes left. I'll respond to chat in a moment. I just need to decide on captaincy. Just mentally, I need a moment to decide on captaincy. I think it's Haaland captain, guys, and then Saka vice. I don't think I need to go that crazy. Hwang captain is super interesting. Yeah, you know what? Let's punt against Sheffield United. That's it. We're locked in. We're locked in. All right. I'm going to respond to chat questions right now. We're locked in with the draft. No more questions about draft. That's it. Go for Hwang. Douglas Luiz. So Neto. I personally would want to punt on Neto. That's my opinion. De Bruyne to Neto. De Bruyne to Neto. I would probably... I would probably go De Bruyne to Hwang. But if you already have Huang, I probably wouldn't do a double up on Wolves players. For me, I feel like I'm in a different position because when you're wild carding, you kind of feel like you have a bit more safety. Like I have some transfers already planned towards Game Week 29. Huang has so much upside. Neto or Douglas Luiz. For me, I would still go Huang if you can. But of course, if you were trying to think about no Odegaard, I would just go Douglas Luiz probably over Neto if you are concerned about Game Week 29. Adam Kim, our natural captain. Good luck for that. Any reason you didn't go Udogi over Doughty? So my concern, I guess, with Udogi in this situation here is what I might actually do is I might go triple Spurs mid. I might go Son, Madison, Richarlison. So I want to leave that option open right now. That's why I've gone for Doughty right now. I want to leave that option open. Does Walker start? I don't know. I don't have leaks. Douglas Luiz or Garnacho, I would go with. Personally, I like the Garnacho punt, but if you want to go Douglas Luiz, that's fine. I think Douglas Luiz is safer. My future transfer plans are going to be Solanke on Game Week 28. No transfers on Game Week 27 unless we find out some news about, Porro or Udogi or something like that. And then, yeah. Gabriel Jesus is with the squad. That's what I've heard. Who's my captain? It's Haaland, obviously. I hope you guys can see the team though, right? Best free hit defense, Ait Nuri, probably Gabriel, and honestly, either you choose, let's say, Saliba, or you go with another Wolves defender. I would actually probably go double Wolves defense, but if you're going for double Wolves midfield, you probably don't want, two Wolves defenders. So you probably actually just want Ait Nuri. Maybe you can actually go Alex Moreno. I actually think Alex Moreno could be quite good for this week from a free hit. So if you go Ait Nuri, Gabriel, and Alex Moreno. Palmer out for Huang or Botman out for Pau. I prefer Botman out for. I probably prefer Palmer out, but then it really depends on your Game Week 29 plans. If you plan on free hitting on Game Week 29, you probably want to keep Palmer within your team. Start Gross or Heach. I mean, it's not close. It's you need to be starting Huang basically this week. Guys, 1,550 concurrent viewers. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being around. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that I haven't been interacting with chat too much today. As I said, I've been super stressed about my wild card, but here we are. Odegaard / Porro or Saliba Luiz? I prefer Saliba Luiz because obviously you can't guarantee that Porro is going to come back for Game Week 27. If Porro doesn't come back for Game Week 27, then that takes away a lot of the value for you. Odegaard is better, bro. I mean, I still like Saliba a lot. Harjev says, hey, Fran, what would be the best differential captain? Personally, for me, it would still be Saka. But if you really want an extra differential captain, I would just go Huang. Why Haaland over Huang? Well, I still think Bournemouth are a team to target from the attacking point of view. Dinger over Neto? Nah, not even close. For me, it would either be Garnacho or Neto, I think. Yeah, it would be Garnacho or Neto. But for me, Neto here is a 1 week punt, so I don't mind it so much. With Walker benched, is Walker benched? I didn't see any Walker bench news. We love you too. Thank you, Peter. Love you too. Why did you take out Odegaard? I wanted to punt on Neto, basically, and I wanted a little bit more money in the bank, a bit more flexibility with the money in the bank, and yeah, that's it. Buy Solanke or Tony. Obviously, for this week, I would actually buy Solanke, but it depends on your Game Week 29 plans. Think about it. If you're free hit on 29, you probably don't need Tony in your team. But if you're actually going for, let's say, a free at 34 strategy, you probably still want to go Solanke. Garnacho over Bruno, not enough money. Garnacho's perfectly fine. If you can't afford my draft, just go for Garnacho. Estupiñán to Dawson or Pau, I would go for Dawson. Just a better fixture this week. -8 or wild card. -8. How much in the bank? 2 million in the bank. Why did I take out Odegaard? I just wanted a bit more flexibility with the money in the bank, that's all. Start Taylor or KDB? I would start Taylor if KDB is benched, which I think he is, based on what Andy has said. Douglas Luiz or Neto? I'm still going for Odegaard over Saliba. That's fine. I would probably go Douglas Luiz then. You're going Gordon to Odegaard. Good luck. Good luck to you as well, Flying Naga. I hope Odegaard works out well. Ultimately, you're sort of punting on a player who's basically going to be playing in the opposition team, so I hope it works out. What is my team value? Well, I'm on wildcard, so my team value changed a lot, right? So previously, my team value was 106.7 million, and now obviously it's different. Triple Wolves. I think triple Wolves is a little bit too excessive. I've gone for 2 Wolves here, so yeah, we're calling it a day here in terms of triple Wolves, guys. Just with the 2 Wolves here for me this week. Would I bench Trippier, Moreno, or Douglas Luiz? I'd actually bench Trippier, 100%. Best free hit midfield? What I would probably do with a free hit midfield, that's amazing. What are you saying, Ranjith? And is sorry. So the free hit midfield, would you think bringing back Solanke in Gaming 27 would be good? Yes, but I think bringing him back on Gaming 28 is better. Anyways, going back to the question about free hit midfield, for me, I think I would go either Bruno or Rashford, one, Neto and Huang, yes, Saka, yes, Odegaard, I would probably go Odegaard. So, okay, let's build a free hit team just for people who are interested, right? If I was actually free hitting this week, honestly, I might be tempted to go Rashford. But I know some people prefer Bruno, so just, you make your decision there. You go Odegaard. You definitely don't go Solanke. So just ignore Solanke for now. I think you go Watkins and Holland, and that's it. Your defense should be Gabriel. It should be Ait Nuri, in my opinion. Holland starts. Holland's confirmed to start. You go Ait Nuri. Your keeper this week, you probably actually go Martinez. Interesting. I think you go Martinez as a keeper. Forget about Flecken. I think you go Alex Moreno here. This is what I would do. If I was free hitting this week, this is the team that I would have. 3-5-2. 3-5-2, Gabriel, Ait Nuri, Alex Moreno, Saka, Fernandes, Odegaard, Hichan, Neto, Watkins, Holland. This would be my team if I was free hitting this week. How about Gross? I prefer Garnacho because I think he's got a higher chance of playing Gaming 29. Ait Nuri and Odegaard or Saliba Neto? I prefer... Oof. It's a good question. I mean, obviously that was the draft that I was previously on. I would say Saliba Neto because I just like the sort of money in the bank. And I like the flexibility in terms of not being sort of pigeonholed into certain picks. Like I like how Saliba sort of blocks off the need for me to go Udogi, which increases a bit more risk. Ait Nuri, he's good. Honestly, I don't think you can go wrong. I think they're both lovely. Generally, I think they're both lovely. Like I wouldn't complain with either. Fran, if KDB is not starting, bring in Solanke for Adebayo or Garnacho in for KDB. I personally would bring in Garnacho for KDB because Solanke doesn't have a good fixture at all this week. My thoughts on captaincy. I mean, we can show my team now. This is my thoughts on captaincy basically. Wildcard is active. Wildcard is active. I kind of like that it shows that the wildcard is active. Sorry guys, I'm trying to see if there's any other leaks right now. Yep, Lazy FPL confirmed that KDB does not start, so that was confirmed 1 minute ago. FPL newsletter. I don't know if Walker starts, guys. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. Also, thank you, George Collier, as well, for being a president. Welcome to member as well. Once again, feel free to reach out to me for one-on-one chats as well. If you need team advice or just want to discuss FPL just in general. Why Neto Hee-chan? I think this is a good week to punt on Wolves. I first of all think that Huang can be a season keeper. On top of that, in terms of Neto, I just think that he's an easy transfer out to a Spurs midfielder if I want to do that transfer. Check leaks. Why people saying Haaland bench? No, Haaland is not bench, guys. Haaland is definitely starting. Final team. This is pretty much my final team. Bruno or Foden. I would still go with Bruno if it's just a one game week punt for you. If you're keeping Foden for a while, it might be valid to keep Foden within your team. Is Estupiñán starting? I think he's definitely starting. Do we know if Walker is starting? I actually don't know if Walker starts. I'm sorry about that. Blurry Fran is back. All right, let's go in and out. Hopefully that works. It does. It does. Alvarez over Tony. What do you mean? No, I don't think so, because Tony's a confirmed Gaming 29 player. So, yeah. What are my transfer plans? Sorry, I'm also quickly going to check super chats just in case I missed anything. No, but yeah, I mean, George, also feel free to drop messages in the chat. If you're a member, I'll obviously give priority to responding to your messages within the chat. Hey, Fran, Yomlo says, should I swap KDB for Hwang for -4? I think it's worth it, yeah, especially since we know the KDB start benched, unfortunately. Garnacho and Neto. I personally like Neto just because he's a 1 week punt, right? That's kind of the position that I think he occupies within my team. So, yeah. Let's see. Chat questions. Sorry, I'm just quickly checking for leaks, guys. Unfortunately, I don't know. I really don't know if there's a Walker leak. I'm sorry about that. I really can't confirm. I'm just quickly checking for leaks because I think we might have some Man City leaks. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I can't see any leaks right now, guys. So try to lock in your teams, try to lock in your moves, and try to make those decisions, as soon as possible, basically. Otherwise, of course, we will be in trouble. I also actually need to take a screenshot of my team because I forgot to do that last week and I forgot to post it on Twitter. So let's not do that this week. Let's try and post the team. Just give me a moment. Still no last minute leaks, not that I can see. KDB bench, Holland starts. That's still the news that we got. That hasn't changed. KDB is out. Tony confirmed that as well. No, I don't see anything else. One minute to the deadline, guys. We basically have 15 seconds for you guys to make your moves. So best of luck. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I know it was a little bit hectic. Personally, for me, it was very hectic, but yeah, I think all the moves were still very close within each other. I'm happy with the team that I landed with. We'll see how it goes, obviously. This will keep a little bit of flexibility in terms of getting the next two Spurs players into my team, but also making sure that I have a strong team for double Gaming 28. As you can see, most of the squad is set. All we need to do is really bring in Solanke and Gaming 28. And that's it. Punting on Tony's upside for the short term. And, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Best of luck to you guys this week as well. Deadline should be lost. Let's just quickly refresh the page. That's it. Games updating will be available soon. Crazy. Ake was starting, by the way. Ake was starting. Ake was starting. That's correct. Where am I from? I'm technically half Hong Kong, half Spanish. Please answer super chat. I'm so sorry that I missed one. But I was just quickly looking for leaks. Cheryl, as I said, better to have in the bank with Garnacho or Bruno with 1 million. I honestly, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. You could have more money in the bank with a Garnacho. That's true. But in my situation, I just felt like I didn't have an opportunity to really save that much money in the bank with Garnacho versus Bruno. So I've decided to go with Bruno in the end. And I still think Bruno is, I'm hoping for a penalty, praying for a penalty. We'll see what happens. But there's no wrong answers. I would prefer Bruno, first of all, just in terms of guaranteeing points in the future. Obviously, I know Bruno hasn't done that this season at all. But yeah, that's sort of my answer to that question. All right, quickly going to post about the old wild card here. Sorry, we're just quickly going to post on Twitter, and then we're good to go. Okay, so that was my last team that was posted. All right, back to chat. Man, still 1,000 of you guys over here. Thank you guys so much, honestly. My highest rank was around top 10k, around 8k. So we'll see how it goes. I've only really been playing for 4 seasons, so I would say I've definitely improved overall. Why did I take Odegaard out? No, nothing, just a gut feeling. So for me, it was between, excuse me, sorry. It was between Odegaard, right? Between Odegaard and Odegaard and Ait Nuri, or let's say Neto plus Saliba. I just think that there's more situations where I like Neto as a one game week punt than, for example, committing myself a little bit longer term towards Odegaard, if that makes sense. For example, if let's say I want to sell Fernandes next week, I can just sell Fernandes. Whereas let's say I feel like there's still a lot of money held up in the bank within this sort of Odegaard structure where I was very tight and it was definitely sort of rotating 8 players. Whereas with Neto, he's another cheaper player-ish, and I can sort of rotate the team around a little bit more flexibly in the future. And that's all that sort of came into that decision. I think it was super close for me in the end. So the team that I went with was the one that I liked the most, but I could very well have gone with another draft if my gut feeling was a bit different. Sometimes you just have to sort of make that decision. Thank you, Fahad. Thank you, Protagonist. You won't have money in the future for Richarlison or Madison. Is it okay to go Kulusevski in the future? Personally, no. I think Kulusevski is a very risky player. If you can't afford some of the Tottenham midfielders, what I would do instead is actually probably go for a Tottenham defender. Nervous. I'm absolutely nervous, of course. I don't want to ruin it. And this is a serious strategy. I think it was a serious play. We'll see what happens. By the way, if you guys are here, if you guys would like and subscribe, I would absolutely love that. So thank you guys for staying. I probably should have said like and subscribe. Trusting my gut is important. That's true, Luke Guy. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Good luck, everyone. And I don't think I can win FPL. I'm like 105 points off first place, but I'll try my absolute best to win FPL, and we'll see what happens. That's all I can say. Take care, guys. And you trusted your gut and you went for Odegaard. I think that's perfectly fine. I hope Odegaard does well, honestly, because not many people own Odegaard. So I would be really happy for you if Odegaard does well. You copied me whether you like it or not. Hey, that's fine. Hopefully you're just not ahead of me in rank. And no, I'm kidding. I think you can win this. Rooting for me and Chai. Appreciate that, Flying Naga. I hope Chai does well too. You've also wildcarded. Only differences where you went for Areola. That's true. Areola is a budget choice. I forgot to mention that actually within the stream. Odegaard and Solanke, that's fine. Personally, didn't like Flecken's fixtures that much, and the extra 0.3 could come in handy. I agree with you. What rank do you get in your country? Unfortunately, I'm based in London. I'm based in London, UK. So the rank in my country is not very good because a lot of people play in this country. As far as Chelsea's a bad team, I mean, we have bad teams, right, in football, but sometimes the assets from those teams are still good. For example, Chelsea's a bad team. Yes, I could maybe agree to that, but the thing is, Palmer is still a good FPL asset, right? Good luck, chat, as well. Take care. Hope you guys do well. Never back down, never what? I will keep trying, though, Luke. You're right. Who knows? First place could ruin their team. Oh, you're not talking as an FPL player. You're talking as a Spurs fan. Fair enough. Fair enough. Discord link. Actually, I'll post the Discord. The Discord link should be in the description in the chat. If you guys are a member, just feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what your, for example, Discord ID is. Yeah, so check the link in the description, and that's it. Anyways, take care, guys. I'm probably gonna log off. You won't believe this, but I've literally been thinking about this wildcard draft basically for the last, I don't know, week, like nonstop. And I've been changing my drafts so many times. I have screenshots of maybe like 20 drafts on my phone. I've been thinking about 3 Arsenal players too much. I've been thinking about Doughty, Porro, Senesi, and Udogi too much. I've been thinking about Ait Nuri versus Neto. I've been thinking about Tony versus Solanke. I've been thinking about Free at 29 versus Free at 34. But it was fun. It was fun. It was a really good, unique experience. And I really enjoyed it. It was exhausting though. And I am seriously trying to win. So of course, like, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, If you ever need ad live, then there's a YouTuber called. Oh, thank you, mate. Advice. Fair enough. I appreciate that, I'm Evo. You don't use Discord. I think that's fine. Obviously, you can reach out to me on Twitter. It's just you know what the issue is to find out. Like I find it's very hard for me to prioritize chats on Twitter because I can't prioritize Twitter chats. Like a lot of people do DM me for advice, and then I get flooded and I can't prioritize the messages. Whereas, for example, like even on a stream here, if you're, let's say, a member, I can respond to your chats a little bit faster than most, and I can also do the same with, for example, people on Discord. Am I going to change Ivan over Solanke next week? No, probably not. You know, I still think Ivan Toney versus Chelsea is an okay fixture. I like the idea of going for Solanke on Gameweek 28. If I feel like I need to go for Solanke Gameweek 27, I'll do it, but I probably won't. Just Garnacho instead of Fernandes. I think that's fine. Who knows? Garnacho could pop off once again and do better than Fernandes. Like, it is what it is. Sorry, I'm just reacting to Twitter, and I'm like totally decompressing right now. Hopefully next year we will have members only what's. Oh, I mean, do you guys want a WhatsApp group on members? Is that easier for you guys as well? That's actually a good suggestion. I could do a WhatsApp group if you guys want to. Discover the channel from the latest FPL Wire episode. I appreciate that, Batistuta, and lovely name as well, and lovely player by the way. How long have I been playing FPL? Honestly, I've only been playing FPL seriously for 4 years. And when I say seriously, I mean the first year I literally triple captain Kane on a single game week because I didn't know that double game weeks existed. So that's how serious that is. But no, I think I've been playing FPL properly for. Honestly, I would only say that I've only been playing FPL properly for 1 season. My approach has completely changed. I've embraced analytics quite a lot. You're a casual, like average football fan, someone who loves watching football games. I used to run this YouTube channel used to be a tactics channel. So if you scroll further back in time, I think I've unlisted and hidden some of the videos, but if you scroll back in time enough, you'd find that this channel used to do post-match tactics with the most low budget setup with my friend as well in real life at the time. And I was just purely watching football from a sort of layman's point of view. And obviously getting into FPL, I think one thing you need to notice as well is that suddenly in FPL, like the players that you like watching on a football pitch are not the same as the best FPL assets. For example, Douglas Luiz versus Leon Bailey is the best example of that. What's another good example of that? I don't know. For example, I mean, another good example is like someone like Bernardo Silva. We all know he's a great football player, but do you really want him as an FPL asset? Like, not really, because you don't see him as a consistent goal scorer. So things like that, you have to get over. WhatsApp group is something that I can definitely do. I'll set that up tomorrow. Rodri, also another great football player. Ironically, Rodri's not too bad for FPL. Hey, there are some other fantasy football games where Rodri's really good because some other fantasy football games allow you to build points for getting tackles and things like that. And yeah, Rodri's nice. Did I enjoy the FPL meets I attended recently? Oh, you do FPL meets in Lagos. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I did enjoy the FPL meets that I attended recently. I quite frequently go to the London one. Create the WhatsApp group. I will do the WhatsApp group for the members though, absolutely. Telegram group. I don't use Telegram though. I'm sorry about that. Scott Carson is going to start. Are we being serious right now? like Declan Rice. That's a lovely song, isn't it? What would be your 1 week punt, Neto or Bruno? I would still go with Bruno. I mean, I like my penalty takers. Garnacho or Odegaard? It's close. I would still probably go Odegaard. Ode. Kante for Chelsea is a great example. Yeah, that's another one. But I think also, like, if you think about it, right, like Kante obviously is a good football player, blah blah blah. But the thing about Douglas Luiz is like you don't watch him for like no one watches a football game for Douglas Luiz to get assists and goals. But then when you think about it, can he get assists and goals? Yes, he can because he takes set pieces. So people what people don't always think about it. But like when you're like before you start playing FPL avidly, you don't think about who's the corner taker for this team. Like he's a really prolific assister of the ball. Like KDB for example, like he is probably seen as the best creator that we've seen within the last few years with the Premier League. But it's like you don't think about KDB for his corner taking skills, right? Whereas Douglas Luiz can take a lot of corners. Like James Ward-Prowse is another similar example. Like if James Ward-Prowse was playing for a better team, was definitely on penalties and on corners, he would basically be he's Douglas Luiz. But the funny thing about James Ward-Prowse is he's like the same price as Douglas Luiz, but he has much less value, right? Because he's playing for a worse team from an attacking point of view. You have a good feeling about the wildcard done this week. Yeah, we get a head climb in rank, but I also have to think like a lot of teams will have a bad Game Week 28 team compared to me, and hope so, of course, hope so. So that's something to think about too. Is this my full time? No, absolutely not. Yeah, it is shocking to me that you are not much bigger than you are. The quality analysis is amazing as the rank proves. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. And I thank you for quietly following me as well. I appreciate you also speaking up today. That's really nice to see around. Thank you as well for all the new members who joined today. That's really lovely, and also for the people who dropped super chats. The team that I support in real life is Real Madrid. My family is from Spain, Madrid, at least my dad's side of the family. And unfortunately, of course, from Hong Kong, we don't have a rich sort of deep footballing history at all. Bro needs to blow out his own trumpet. Yeah, I will try to do a bit more of it. Ideally, obviously, there would be a world where I can go full time in FPL. Although, sorry, the light. I need to adjust the lighting. All right, here, maybe a bit more clear than usual. Definitely not full time. I have a full time job, and that job probably includes me working sometimes more than your regular 9 to 6. So yeah, try to make content as much as possible, and yeah, really enjoy it this season. Like this season, obviously the channel has grown a lot, which is amazing. Thoughts on Palmer? Incredible, right? But if I'm planning to go with the Game Week 29 strategy, it probably makes sense for me to not have Palmer. Cheap and carrying you heavy this year. No, I appreciate that, JBaby. But at the end of the day, like we all make our own decisions, right? And sometimes those decisions can be lucky. Like last week, I've got to be honest, I was outscored by some people who have like Odegaard, who had Gross. Like they all had good single game fixtures. But if you watch, for example, the players who played more than 90 minutes for Liverpool last week, did they all cook? Absolutely, they did. Gakpo, a player that we don't really associate, with good underlying stats, he was able to cook. Luis Diaz, same thing too. So it's like part of the game is luck, right? You have injuries. You have if you have more injuries than the next person, you're going to have a worse team. That's my personal opinion. Like you have to spend transfers to fix your team, whereas the other person can make transfers to make their team even better for the weeks beyond. So that's the luck of the game sometimes. Got any plans? I mean, I've no plans to go full time. Like if I'm allowed to go full time, then that would absolutely be lovely. But right now, obviously, if I can't go full time, then that's a different situation. Hoyland replacement, was thinking Solanke. Yeah, Hoyland replacement I think is definitely Solanke or Watkins. Obviously, if you don't have him already, or even Tony for a short term. If you come first in the world in FPL, what will I do? I mean, is there even prize money in FPL? Yeah. Hello to you though. How do I manage my time playing FPL? I probably spend a couple hours. Well, I do spend a couple hours every day reading like tactics, reading news, or just like reading up on stats as well. Following model projections. I listen to people who are fixture planners like Ben Crellin when I have free time. I try to study and understand the landscape. In the earlier parts of the season, what I'm actually doing more so is like I'm trying to watch as much of the football as possible because I feel like our understanding of the teams is very different, right? Every year we come to, let's say, FPL with an understanding of the teams from the previous season, but that understanding can change quite a bit or you can kind of maintain the same, right? For example, like a team like City, I don't think our expectations for them have really changed over the course of the season. We still view them as an incredible team. Yeah, living in London is expensive. No, that's true, actually. I suppose, obviously, if I move to another country, it could be possible for me to live full time. At the same time, I do have a full-time job, and I've got a mortgage and all. So, yeah. You followed me since 2021. You DM me and transfer for suggestion, and it was very fast response. I mean, I am busy nowadays. For example, when I'm live streaming, I can't respond to people on Twitter. That's just impossible nowadays. You found FPL from FPL Gameweek app. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. If you followed me from Game Week 1, your rank would be nice. It was funny because at the start of the season, I remember and obviously my channel has grown a lot this season, so that's amazing. But I literally had a comment because I went for Havertz as a punt in Game Week 1 because I wanted that sort of Havertz, Havertz up top potential while Jesus was injured, all that kind of stuff. I was going for that vibe, and it didn't work out super well. And I remember I got my first comment, which was like, you're not a serious content creator if you own Havertz in your team. So I was thinking, okay, That was like the largest, the most upvoted comment that I'd ever had like on FPL. So obviously coming from then and then getting the Sterling and Gusto hauls, like that was like insane, like a huge 180. And then obviously the season has been pretty average from wildcard 8, but then recently, of course, I've been super lucky once again. Like some of the captaincies, some of the players I've owned have done really well too. Can I show my wildcard again? I can, yeah, I should be able to. I think we have to go on Twitter to show my wild card. I don't know if this is. I hope you guys can see this. This is basically my wild card. But yeah, Havertz was a decent idea during preseason. Speaking from an Arsenal fan, I did get Bruno Chai. How are you doing, Chai? You know what? Let's have a look at your team. Um, hope you're well. I think you must have been live streaming as well. Oh god, Reggie Lawn, interesting. So yeah, planning more so for Gameweek 29, which makes sense. That's a good team. Tony is nice too, and actually, I like skipping this lanky move too. Watkins, I guess, could be interesting, because I know a lot of people have Watkins. I hope Walker starts for you too. I mean, I probably would have been on a similar-ish team. You've got Martinez, which I think is a huge edge to most people, and then double Villa defense. I don't think many people can say they own that. Yeah, lovely team, and Estupiñán obviously starting is huge news. The fact that you've gotten out like a really good 11 without a hit is awesome. Like a lot of people will be taking hits to even field like a mediocre 11, and so you've got a strong one. It's nice. Ooh, Spaceman went for Huang captain. Spaceman went for a Huang captaincy. Damn, I respect that. I respect that. Your full-time job? Well, it's I'm a chartered accountant, so I'll just say that. Happy with it. No Huang. I mean, look, honestly, what's gonna happen, right? Huang's probably not gonna cook, and you're gonna be laughing at the rest of the field. But here you're looking at a guy who's gone Huang captain. So these are the types of players I have to worry about. Damn. Huang captaincy is pretty ballsy. I can't lie. Like I really respect that. I really respect that a lot. Wow. 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 How do you manage stress watching games? Look, I don't think as a content creator, I think it's extra stressful because I think about how for example my team and how my moves will be perceived. Like I've been able to kind of understand over time that the reality is that footballing results are very lucky if like on a game week to game week basis, and the reality about FPL is you only own players for a certain amount of time. Like for example, like Eze is such a I didn't own Eze at all this season, right? Everyone who owned Eze from Game Week 1 would have said that he's a shit pick. But what happened? I brought in Eze versus Sheffield United home and I got a brace. Obviously, I also got an injury, which was not very nice. But that's luck, right? Like for me, Eze was never a bad pick. Hence why when I finally decided to go for him, I wasn't thinking, oh, he's been so bad this season, I can't go into him. The same reason why I don't mind going into Bruno today. So Bruno better brace. No, I'm kidding. Do I recommend being a chart accountant? Not really. Not necessarily, no. Saka and Huang XG this week on par and sec. Yeah, as I was saying, Leon, I completely agree with you. Like I think Huang, Saka, and Haaland were all the top choices this week. On some models that I've been looking at too, like I believe that Huang and Saka were actually level with Haaland, because you also need to think about the goal scoring odds from a midfield point of view, right? Like you get more points as a midfielder for clean sheets and for goals, and when you project that out, actually, because the clean sheet odds are so high for Arsenal and Wolves this week, it does make sense that Huang is a competing choice. It does make sense that Saka is a competing choice as well. So, yeah. Don't stress out, man. Don't take Twitter comments to DMs too seriously. Yeah, something that I'm learning to do, and I appreciate that, Batistuta. So when am I looking to free hit? Free at 34. So that's quite clearly what the strategy of choice that I've gone for is. But yeah, we had so many viewers today. That was awesome. I hope you guys are well. And that's it. I'm going to be logging off now. I'm going to drink a lot of water, a copious amount of water, and I'm going to stress a little bit less, hopefully, about football. A CN plays 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 damn the combo to study data and statistics. I think yeah. I mean, analytics in FPL I think is huge. Since when did I play FPL? So technically, I have 2 seasons where I played FPL for 6 game weeks, which ended up with me having a 6.5 million game week like rank, and then a season where I think I got let go from one of my first jobs because I was working for a cryptocurrency company a couple years ago, and obviously the first sort of blockchain crisis happened, and they had to let me go because I was on probation. So I was in a work league there, and I think I just had a game week 1 team that was rolling, and that ended up like 2.8 million. So, but seriously, I've been playing FPL for the last 4 seasons. The first 2 seasons, I would say I was playing awfully, and the last 2 seasons, including this one, this is my 4th season, I've been playing quite well, in my opinion. But part of that is, like trying to invest some time to look into analytics, trying to understand, like, as a human being, like how often can I get things right versus, what, for example, like gambling odds could tell you, what data projections could tell you. And then also thinking intuitively about like, what managers say, what that means about the minutes for a certain player, whether someone is, like in a, in a naughty territory with the manager, or what could tactically change that could make a player worse, things like that. Like I think my game has become a lot more well-rounded, in the last 2 years, but that's what I can say. Excuse us if we get defensive in your comments against haters. I appreciate that, Leon. Thank you so much. And I hope you're doing well this season too. I haven't been able to keep track of your progress, but I hope it's ever so well. Yeah, good luck with you, Chai, as well. Do I think KDB? What do I think about KDB? Is this purely my job? No, absolutely not. This is not my. This is basically right now. It's effectively a hobby for me. Yeah. You're one of my fans, big fan. I thank you, Luis. And I know you wanted to create some FPL content, right? You said so a few weeks ago. So what I would recommend is to start in the off season. But obviously if you can be like Chai, you can make it one of the biggest FPL mega threads halfway through the season, and you can cook. Have you discussed captaincy? Thoughts on Saka? Yeah, I mean, we talked about it briefly. I think it's between Saka, Hwang, and Haaland, and I think the projections were very similar for all these players. And honestly, of course, if you think about the concept of free risk, which is the idea that if you think everyone's going to do it roughly well, why not go for the player who is less owned? So Hwang obviously was your, quote unquote free risk choice. I didn't go for him. I still thought it was Haaland captaincy for me, but yeah. Timing over everything. Yeah, I agree with that. Don't listen to haters, you got a lot more fans. That's true, actually, and I think it's also when you receive hate comments, it's like a new thing. Like I don't think you expect it, because like when you walk through your day-to-day life, you don't interact with hate, if that makes sense, like avidly. I'm sure some people do in unfortunate situations, but it's different. Time and rank. Facts. All right. Well, that's it for the stream. I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. Good luck with the fixtures ahead. And do I think KDB will come on? Potentially if they're losing. But obviously, if they feel like they need to manage his injury or whatever the niggling situation that he has, I assume if they're winning that they won't need to manage it. And that's pretty much it. So take care and goodbye, guys.